And I'm turning it over to Anastasia.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good.
I can hear you.
I think I lost my video.
Yes, you did.
Okay, guys, can you see and hear me?
We can see and hear you great, Anastasia.
My AV just decided to pop out on me out of nowhere just then. So just bear with me. Wanted to say good afternoon, welcome and thank everyone for coming out this morning and participating in GPAR Diversity's Women in Real Estate panel discussion. This is in honor of Women's History Month. So welcome and thank you from myself. I am, again, Anastasia Dewan. I am Chair of Diversity. So on behalf of myself and my co-chair, Rachel Murray Richards, welcome. And we'll get right into the program. I wanted to, give me 1 second, something kooky just occurred. Sorry about that.
Anastasia, we can still hear you. I would suggest you just talk.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what is going on here. Okay, it's going in and out. I was trying to prevent that from happening. We did try and run through this in the beginning. So yes, just to get right into the program, again, welcome and thank you for attending GPAR Diversity's Women in History Month, Women in Real Estate panel discussion. Want to introduce our panel of people who we have this afternoon, and then we'll let them get into their bios, and I'm sure a lot of the preliminary questions will be answered in the beginning during their bios. So first we have Stephanie Biello, who is our immediate past president for GPAR. Welcome, Stephanie, and thank you. We have Annette Collier, who is former chair of our diversity committee, also formerly in leadership, I believe treasurer for GPAR, and is also current vice president for the Philadelphia Metropolitan Board of Realtists. And Butter Louise D Alessandro, who is also past GPAR leadership and is the co-founder of Elfant Wissahickon Real Estate here in Philadelphia. So welcome to our three panelists, and I guess we will go in alphabetical order here, since we didn't have that planned out. But let's start with Stephanie. You are letter B, and you are also our immediate past president, so welcome. And I'll let you give your bio and we can get into questions. I'll run the questions out and pose them to all three of you, and you can just answer in your order, and we'll do a short Q&A at the end. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Anastasia, for having me, and hello to Butter and Annette. So happy to be on the panel with you two of my favorite people. So a little bit about myself. Like Anastasia said, I am the immediate past president. I was president for 2020 and 2021 for GPAR. I currently am an associate broker. I have a team called Biello and Black, and it is my business partner, Karen Black, who is a team that we formed just recently. I am associated with Purpose Sotheby's International Realty. I've been in real estate for about 20 years, actually 20 years this month. And I don't know. I mean, did you want me to go back the very beginning, or how far back do you want me to go? There's a long history here.
Just tell us what you did before you got into real estate, and why you changed careers, if there was anything prior to real estate.
Yeah, so I was in management, and I worked for a company that was it was in children's clothing. So he had a clothing line here in Philadelphia, and he had stores up and down the East Coast. So it was my job to manage some of the offices, and when a new office opened, I would go and prepare the stores, hire, fire, restructure, whatever. And then it was 2011, and I switched to real estate. It was a lot of hours. I was a mom. I had 3 children at the time, and they were very young, constantly working, traveling. So I thought, well, why don't I get into real estate, because I could do it on my own time, be flexible, do it part-time. So shifted into real estate, and I started out in resale, and then I went into new construction. I worked with some builders and developers in Bucks County, and then I went into Center City. Got out of new development, got my broker's license, and that's when I started with Sotheby's and managed their Philadelphia office, their main line, and then we opened up Chestnut Hill. And so just until recently, kind of took a break, took a pause, and started the team, and that's kind of where we are today.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. And I'm going to toss it over to Annette Collier. Welcome, Annette.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me to be a panelist. As may have already been mentioned, I am a broker owner of Able Real Estate. We are licensed in Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, and now Maryland. I started my career really in real estate even before becoming a realtor or realtist. I think like 33 years now I've been around. So, but I started off when I was 24. I started buying investment properties. My mother had influenced me to do that. And that became successful. And while I actually started in the city of Chester, to be honest with you. And it was there that I gained a relationship with someone who was managing a HUD office there. And so fast forward back in 2005, we did the new construction site, the Cecil B. Moore Home Ownership Zone, phases 1 to 3. And that went on from 2005 to about 2009. And so that was an honor. But that same individual that I had met that was a manager at HUD, and this is why relationships are very important. They remembered me, we would keep in contact, and they kind of grew into a regional manager with HUD, and then they went into the private sector. And so I was called upon to be the exclusive broker of that development. So I was elated. My father's hero was Cecil B. Moore, who was a Black attorney in Philadelphia. So it just meant a lot to have that opportunity. And that development was a low to mod in a disabled community. So that's one of the highlights of my career. Our company, we specialize in sales, property management. We do consulting. We also consider ourselves to be a crisis manager. Oftentimes there are internal conflicts that people cannot resolve themselves. And so we get involved and try to resolve it and, serve as a consultant, shall we say. And oftentimes that goes into some type of a deal, whether it be sales or management. But that's pretty much my background. I joined GPAR and also the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is the Black Real Estate Trade Association, back in 1997. In both of those organizations, I have earned many designations to improve myself. And so that's what I would say. I had a great mentor who was my broker, Robert Jackson. He gave me the Fannie Mae account. And so I was able to develop relationships with investors, which I still have those relationships today. And so that's what I would say about my career thus far. Oh, by the way, we just celebrated our 20th anniversary. Some of you were there. Thank you very much for your support. And I can't even believe it's 20 years.
Thank you so much, Annette. Last and certainly not least, Miss Butter, Louise D Alessandro, welcome to the panel.
Thanks, Anastasia, and hi, everybody. Thanks, Annette. Thanks, Stephanie. It's great to be here, and I'm honored to be asked to be part of this. I don't know where to begin. I was a teacher, health and phys ed teacher in Philly, went to Temple University, grew up in Ronhurst, had my first job. Nobody ever said to me, you have to get a job. Nobody ever said that. But at age 7, I went up and down the street I grew up on and gathered in my wagon glass bottles that I would take to Nick's at Ron and Loretta and earn 2 cents and 5 cents a bottle and saved my money in a cigar box under my bed and always wanted to work. It was just like embedded. I came from a hardworking, working class family. I think that there was a very strong work ethic. And I think that's one of the things that I got from my family of origin that really has carried me through many, many years of being able to work and work hard and work successfully. So I'm very grateful to that. I taught health and phys ed in private and public schools. And once I had a couple kids and realized the Philadelphia public school system would not hire a part-time phys ed teacher and gym and health teacher. It was either the full 40 hours plus coaching, which meant not getting home till late many evenings, or trying to figure out what the next step was for me in my life. So I took a gap year between teaching and was an assistant teacher in a private school for a year. And then one day a light bulb went on and I realized I think I could sell real estate. So in 1978, I went to real estate school, got my license, started selling in 79, and that's what I've done since then. In 83, kind of driven by a whole lot of factors, decided to start my own business and did with my business partner, Sue Friedland Young, who is an amazing friend and business partner. And we then in 93, merged companies with Bob Elfant and became Elfant Wissahickon and grew our companies. Since then, we've remained independent and we've brought on younger partners who now run the company and are amazing, lovely, hardworking people. So I guess my message is that I didn't do this alone. I did this with a hardworking family from the get-go, and I did it with business partner and partners. And I just feel blessed to be able to continue to do this. I'm 76 now. I still work full time. I'm lucky enough to have an amazing team partner, Janice Manzi, who in 2004 left her business to sell real estate and joined me. And I've been blessed to have Janice side by side, and we've built a team and have lovely, hardworking, terrific people. So the third message is, surround yourself with good, hardworking people who are kind and caring, and you won't fail. So I'm happy to be here. I love the questions. Anastasia and the committee who put the questions together did a great job. So I'm going to stop talking because I think maybe if we get into the questions, there'll be more answers that will be of interest to the viewers.
Well, thank the three of you again, and again, welcome. We'll get right into the questions. I think the statistic says 62% of Pennsylvania realtors are women. And right now, I think overall in our industry, we're about 67% of women are realtors. And so the question is that I'll pose is, historically, men have dominated the industry today. Have you experienced change in the way women have been treated over the years, and how so? And to that question as well, what are some of the particular challenges that you face as a woman entrepreneur as a whole, and how did you overcome them? Stephanie, will give it to you and go back in order.
Okay. I think we're definitely seeing more women hold high level, C-level positions in our industry, but I think the balance is still off. I think the challenges for myself, I guess, is surrounding yourself, kind of like what Butter said, surrounding yourself with people who you trust and who have your best interest. The challenge is, you know, as you go up, the pool of people you can trust, I think, starts to shrink. I don't want to put a negative on that, but you just really need to be aware of yourself, your intentions, be true to yourself. So, you know, the higher you climb, I think the challenges are there, but they're just challenges. It doesn't define who you are. So I would like to see the balance, a little more balance with women holding C-level positions in our industry. And when I say C-level, I'm talking about, you know, some of the majors, you know, that level.
Thank you, Stephanie. Annette?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really helped me, Temple had a course called, I think it was like home inspection or something like that. And so oftentimes men, well, let me rephrase it. Oftentimes people think that women do not know what a house is or how a house is actually constructed. They may think that we are just, you know, a salesperson just trying to get the dollar. And what has helped me was taking that course and actually understanding how a property is built, what are some of the mechanisms in the property. And even when I go to show a property, sometimes I have to encourage women, please go into the basement. I mean, that's where your systems are. You'll be able to smell, see if there's an odor. Oftentimes people are afraid. And, you know, there have been times where I think men are surprised that I know more than what they think. And so I think that there's a gain of respect when you really know what your product is. And that means learning, becoming educated about it, being around your contractors. If you are doing new construction, if you are involved in property management, rehabs, et cetera, you want to kind of know that language so that you can be at the table and discuss it and understand what they're saying. Because sometimes I've been in a situation where the men are talking to each other and women are not included. And the only way we can be included is by demonstrating our knowledge. So that's what I would say about that. And I, along with Stephanie, I agree that I'd like to see more women in this business. I think that it is profitable. I think it's a matter of one, just really organizing their lives so that and I'll just
Did we lose your audio, Annette? Were you finished?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I
Okay,
think the
sorry.
part of your statement went out.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you. And Louise, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. I'm not sure how to answer this question because I live in the dichotomy of life every day. There are things that are true and not true. We know that there's a ton of misogyny left and will be for many, many years in this world. It just exists because it's been so embedded in society. But I think that we have made progress. And I think that it's going to be many, many years before we see a very level, equitable society for all people. And regardless of our sex or our gender or our age or our race or nationality or religious belief, it would be an incredible world to live in where we're simply blind to all of that. We just see people's hearts. So, and I guess that the belief system that we can get there, we should never give up. And I think that that's really that's what I hold dear, is that all people are precious and all people should be treated with respect and all people should be given an opportunity, and that we should trust. And that if we trust ourselves, we can trust others. So without sounding preachy, this sounds awfully preachy, I experienced when I was working for a company in my early career, I decided I needed to shift gears and went to another company and was told that I wasn't one of them. And I think it was because of where I lived and what my politics were, and maybe how I dressed or how my hair was. And I decided that, well, I suspect that I will be denied an opportunity if I go to another company. So I'll just start my own company. So that's how I started my own company. And I think what you just have to do is don't be afraid to create your own doors and walls. And if it wasn't for a lot of people who worked hard before us to create doors and walls we can walk through, eventually we're going to hit a wall in your life. And I think it's just up to us to open the door, create a door. So if you're at a place in your life where you need to create a door, look for the best people around you to help create the door and walk through it. So my experience in '83 was to do that. And I did it with others. I didn't do it by myself. And I think that that's one of the freedoms we have in this industry. God, this is an amazing industry to be in. If you figure it out and you learn it and you love it. I like people, I like houses, I like collaboration. As a phys ed teacher, I was a coach. So I think that they're positive things to bring to the table if you're going to represent people in this sale and purchase real estate. And if you're always collaborating and working in a team. So, and you're going to meet people who are different than you, think differently, act differently, and you just have to figure out how to work with them. So, one of the things Annette said was development, self-development, always doing that. And that, I think that's essential. That's really essential to bring it to the table and have no fear. Just have no fear. People sense fear. And I'm not saying pretend you have no fear. Have no fear. So, and the other thing is know what your weaknesses are, know what your strengths are, know what you don't know, and know what you do know, and keep learning. So, I have a lovely, wonderful, supportive husband and two amazing biological sons and an amazing stepson and an amazing stepdaughter. And I really, really respect the time we're in and what men and women have to do to gain respect for each other and to keep moving forward in the world to make it more equitable. So that's what I want to share.
Thank you all. Awesome tidbits thus far. Butter, there is something going on with your audio. I noticed it in the audience have given a little feedback. It's going out a little bit, sounds a little low. I'm not sure if you can do something about that. But we'll keep moving on. Okay. So your niche markets, do you have one? And what do you feel is the most important thing about brand building? Stephanie.
I guess my niche market is the luxury part of real estate, although I do enjoy new construction. That was my first love in real estate. So I kind of grew into it. You know, working in new construction, it was you know, homes, they were higher end, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with the people. So you understand that part of the market, and you just start to gravitate. So as you hone in on certain skill sets and an area that you really like, you just start looking for them. You look for the void, and like Butter said, you recognize an opportunity and be open to it. So I always allowed myself to be open to new. Real estate is just there's so many different opportunities and so many different places you can go in real estate. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in sales, or it could be management, it could be, you know, back office work, it could be contracts, you know, putting those together. But there's so many opportunities in real estate. And if you find something that you're passionate about it and find a way to make money doing it, go for it, and you'll never have to work another day in your life. So I think as far as my niche, that was my niche. And what was the other question? What was the second part? I'm sorry.
Branding, what do you
Oh,
feel
branding.
about branding?
Oh, okay. So this is the part of real estate that I love doing is strategy and branding and all kinds of stuff. So I would say if you're not if you're new to branding or you don't quite understand how to approach it, one thing I will say is stay true to yourself and your why. Know your why, know why you're doing it, and build from there. Once you understand why you're doing it and what your mission or your vision is, think of your audience too. And remember, you're talking to your audience. So whatever your messaging is, make it consistent. Understand your audience. It could be buyers, it could be sellers, it could be the association, it could be members, it could be anybody. Know your audience and know the message that you're delivering, and knowing that it's coming from inside your true authentic self. So if you allow that in any of those areas, you'll do well with branding. But I would start with understanding your why, know your why, and recognize your audience and speak to your audience, keeping it consistent.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. So Annette, same question to you. Do you have a niche market, and what do you feel is most important about branding?
I would say most of our clientele would be investors, and that's actually going back to before I even got into real estate. It's just life is just crazy how things come around. So I've always been in sales. I used to do television advertising, billboards, and coincidentally, when I was looking for business, you start thinking about the people that you know who may have some money, and I did business, meaning real estate sales, with some of those very same people. And so that's why it's so important to maintain a good reputation with people, do what you say you're going to do, deliver, be honest, be upfront. Sometimes the truth may hurt, but it's even worse if you got to lie and, go all around the world and all that kind of stuff. It's not worth it. People will respect you more when you are forthright. And so that I would honestly say that most of my business is going to be listings. I do have a passion for buyers as well. Of course, we'll deal with a buyer. But that's pretty much what I have. And so we also do property management. So on the property management side, sometimes those properties wind up becoming properties for sale that another investor wants to purchase, that type of thing. So, I don't like to really narrow myself, but I am open to dealing with everyone. Some of our business is also international. I'm over here over at 37th and Spring Garden. So we got the University City, Drexel, Penn, and all that all around us. So that has definitely helped us as well. I would not tell you that I'm an expert at branding. I do believe in it. But my business has primarily been referral business. It has not been based on a lot of advertising, although I do encourage people to do that. I would probably hire, and probably the people around me, they're doing it. But that's pretty much how my business operates. Everything is pretty much referrals.
Thank you, Annette. Louise?
I think that when I look back, I'm looking back a long time, and I think consistently it's been residential resale is the majority of the business that I've done. And
Excuse me, Louise, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The audio is sounding the same. I just want to get a feedback from the audience that everyone can hear her, because I don't want her to speak and people cannot hear. Are we hearing everything okay?
No.
Louise, is there something we can do? It sounds like it kind of went out a little. I don't know if something may be covering the microphone.
No, it's can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's just a little grainy. If there's nothing you can do, we'll go ahead with it.
Gosh, that's frustrating to have to listen to, I'm sure. I don't know what to do. Let's see.
Anastasia, do you have the capacity to throw Butter and I into a breakout room and I can try and troubleshoot this for her.
Okay, let me see how I can do that. This is, excuse me, and I appreciate you guys' understanding with the AV issue. And this is my first time also hosting on Zoom, so let me see.
This is the story of, you know, this part of the century.
Melody, I know you're in the background. If you could help me out on this, I don't see any options.
Well, she's.
Can you make
I would suggest,
a co-host?
I would suggest, Louise, that perhaps you call in with your phone.
Yeah, that's what I did because my speaker on my desktop isn't working. It failed me this morning. Maybe I should log out and come back in again.
If you want to, I just don't want to derail the presentation. I suggest move forward with questions. Louise, log out, log back in. I'll let you in and we'll just continue the presentation. My apologies to everyone for the tech issues.
Thank you for your understanding. We'll wait for you to come back in, Butter, but we'll move forward.
Yeah, please do. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you all. Okay, so we'll get into a heavy question. And I know the other ladies are probably going to have some nice meaty answers for us. So that'll give Louise time to get back in. Okay, so the exciting part of the business. What has been your most challenging project? How did you meet the challenge and what did you take away from it? Stephanie, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I would say that one of my most challenging projects was the 10 Rittenhouse Square project that I worked on. And that was right smack in the middle of 2009, 10, 11, 12. And it was a new construction. Prior to that, I was working with the developer out in the suburbs, and it was an awful time for builders when the market crashed and banks were shutting down sites. I had buyers who were waiting for their house to be built, and the banks would say, nope, we're not building it. I had to find homes for these people. So it was a challenge. I moved on to the 10 Rittenhouse that struggled. It went through a bankruptcy, and again, I was working with clients who, were putting their life savings sometimes into these homes, and the banks were just like shutting these builders down. So it was a challenge, to be working in new construction during that time, but I think the takeaway was you just keep plowing away. If there's an obstacle, you got to figure it out, and you got to help these people. So I think what I learned from it was that the skill sets, what you practice, what you educate yourself, you might not use it all the time, but it will come in handy. Skill sets that you don't even think are relevant will one day present themselves, like you're going to need, and you'll think, oh wow, okay, I remember this, okay, let's do this, let's go down this path, and you just keep going down the path until you find the solution. So I think that was the biggest takeaway that I learned through that period, but that was definitely a struggle. That was a challenge.
Awesome, glad you overcame that. Annette, how about you?
Well, I would say the same period of time. I think most of us had those challenges. So I think we were in phase 2 of our construction. And, you just, number one, you got to stay focused. Other people around you, may be upset, excitable. Excuse me, but my phone is ringing in the office. But you have to remain calm. And so with that being said, relationships, you just expand your relationships. And in my situation, it was different because I was doing a load of mod. And so, government funding had already arrived into the city of Philadelphia. So it was earmarked for the projects. So that was the benefit for us. However, in regards to getting the buyers and making sure that they could qualify for this, we just developed even more relationships in an untraditional way. So that meant going out into the community, going out to various institutions, and just trying to make it happen. Because the thing that I live by, we will not fail. We will not sink. When you become an entrepreneur, you are the captain and you must continue forward. You must not fail. You must, that's the mindset that you have to have. And, you just gotta believe. And I think that it happened. It wound up happening. It may have been a longer period of time, but it did happen. It did complete. And so for us, although it was a bad time for many, we were able to manage through it. And it was a success. And I'm so happy because those people now have hundreds of percentages of equity in their property. So I'm really excited about that. This is over in the Temple University area.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Annette. And Annette and I, actually, Annette was a panelist on another Women's History Month event where she was honored for her time and service and her 20 years plus that she's put into the industry. And one of the takeaways that I got from one of the other panelists was about how during a very challenging period, it may have been the period in which Stephanie and Annette are both speaking of, because I think everybody went through something at that time. But she said, they went from 1 minute having a weekly cleaning service and fresh flowers every week. And when it all hit the fan, her as a broker owner became the janitor, and the fresh flowers were like not even a thing anymore. So, but we do what we have to do, and we get through. So thank you guys for sharing that. Great stories. A lot to take away from both of those. It looks like we did not get Butter back, and I'm so bummed about that.
She's here. She's back.
Oh, you are here. Okay, maybe I can't see everyone on the screen. Butter. Okay, so the question was, what was your most challenging project? How did you meet the challenge, and what did you take away from it?
You're on mute, Butter.
Unmute. Got it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you sound great.
All right, good. Hopefully it holds. So I forget what Stephanie and Annette said about what was the time frame that they were talking about, because I'm trying to remember one of the most
2008 to 2010, the whole.
Okay, that was tough. I guess one of my biggest challenge was 1987 during the S&L crash, when the markets dried up. It was really bad in the United States. And Sue and I were almost ready to throw in the towel. It was like, I don't know how we're going to do this. We had agents that were leaving to go to bigger companies because they thought the grass was greener. And I think the bottom line is you create your own success, but people have to learn that on their own. And Sue and I had to just learn different management styles, and we had to figure out how to keep the company going, how to look at our budget, how to continue to recruit and train, and how to work hard through this really tough market. And we got through it. Took a couple of years, but we did. We did not throw in the towel, and we worked very hard to come out of a very bad time financially in our country. So I think that what Annette said and what Stephanie said is, if you're in this business and you love it, there's going to be ups and downs, and you're going to be part of them all. So save your money during the ups, and during the downs, work hard, never give up. If you like the business, you love the business, you can do the business, just don't give up. So we actually hired a management trainer to help us understand what our weaknesses were, and we grew as a result of it. And I think the other lesson for anybody who wants to be in leadership or wants to succeed in their business is to always have a counselor, a mentor, a coach, other people that you can observe and look up to and call on the telephone. And that's kind of how the merger between Bob, Sue, and I occurred, was because our companies were a Venn diagram, and we were calling each other all the time to ask, well, who did you use for printing, and who are you using for E&O insurance, and what are you doing for training? And we started to do joint things together, and that's how that That's how that relationship grew. So, so that was our most challenging time.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And Butter, some of the things that you said actually segues into two questions that we have left on our list. One is in this changing age in real estate in the world overall, people are changing the ways they do business over the last few years in many different ways. How have you adapted your business model to, number one, maybe even stay afloat, let alone remain competitive? And then I'll fold the second question in. What do you feel the role of mentorship is, and what should people be seeking in a mentor? So we'll start back with you, Stephanie, and go back around.
Okay. I think the changes that we've seen over the past few years, in particular the last 2 years, has been just a shift in how we do our business. My vision and my mission are the same. However, I have tweaked some of my strategies to achieve my goals, to the changes in our industry, and real estate is fluid. So you always have to be able to go with the flow. And that doesn't mean that you have to embrace all the trends, but I think you need to take a look at your business plan and your strategic plan and goals and identify where you can implement some of these new techniques or services or programs, listing presentations, or even just a showing can be virtual. I still have clients who still do not want to, they're older, they're seniors, and they don't want to leave their home. So, a virtual consultation, they're happy to do that. And I can get them logged on and we have conversations. So my vision and my missions, those are still the same, to service and our clients and to make sure that customer experience is everything that they need, gaining their trust. So I think at the end of the day, they need to know that you can trust, even if it's virtual or in person. And there's something to be said about being in person and feeling an energy, and you got to know if it's a right fit. But I think there's a lot of these new techniques and services and programs that will definitely be part of our practice and be almost like foundational going forward. So then the question about the role of a mentor, I've never had like a mentor that I would say, this is my mentor. I have had mentors that didn't even know they were my mentors. I see qualities or style of work, professionalism, a successful business, maybe their work-life balance, that I gravitate towards them because they have mastered that. So I'm constantly looking, we're always changing and there's always something new in our industry, and there are masters in this industry that have mastered a certain area, whether like my new sensation now is TikTok videos and doing the whole coming through. I love that. So I just I look for the masters who have mastered this area, and I take a look at how they do it. I ask them questions. So I think it's just, you find somebody who, like I just said, has mastered a skill, and I'm very mindful of their time, and I totally appreciate everything that they give me. So yeah, I think at any time you can have a mentor.
Great, Annette.
All right, there were quite a few questions you asked, but I guess I'll start with the mentoring. So I would say that I was mentored by many people, and even prior to becoming licensed. So when I started buying in the city of Chester at 24, there was a woman there who owned like 40 properties. And I learned a lot from her. Her name was Rhea London. And so she was a mentor to me. And I would honestly say throughout my duration, even going into really all of my life, I have had mentors from being very, very young. And it's almost like they're angels. So, you have these seasons and they're able to help you in that season. And then you progress into another area and then they're able to help you. And I have had quite a few, I mean, many of whom are no longer alive. But I have the greatest gratitude to them. And so even when one day I decided that I wanted to do property management, and I went to Ohio, what was it, Ohio University or something like that. And there was a gentleman, he was alive, but he's no longer with us, but Russell Neal, he was a great mentor to me. He showed me his property management, how he did it in his office. And so when I left from taking the course, I said, I want to have 100 properties to manage when I leave. And so sometimes your thought process, your will, and your education, you can make that happen. Because remember, I mentioned that I was dealing with investors at one point that I didn't even know they were in real estate. I just went back to my previous career, reached out to those people, and they were in real estate, and then they became my clients in real estate. So those mentors, those relationships, I would not be where I'm at if it was not for them. And even in regards to new construction, because I had no idea. I didn't know how to do the RFP, didn't have no clue at all. And so those people, they helped me. And in some cases, they actually showed me a proposal that they had done, and I used that in order to create my own. So relationships are extremely important. I would encourage you, do not burn any bridges. If you leave one broker, still remain in a friendly way. Because my former broker, we are still good friends today. And if there's something that I'm not knowledgeable about, I can pick up the phone and reach out to him and he will help me. So it's all about relationships. Now, you asked a couple other questions and I might need some assistance with those other two parts were, Anastasia.
The second fold of the question was, how are you adapting in the way that you do business today, post-COVID? I'm putting up my air quotes, about living in the age of pandemic, I'll say it that way. How have you adjusted your business to stay afloat and remain competitive?
Well, everything is pretty much electronic, and like we're on a Zoom now. That's pretty much what it has been. So, I kind of see less interaction with people, which is something that I will miss. I think there'll probably be security that will be put in place where it's a possibility that, the days of actually taking a client to go see a property, that may not be the case. This is just what I'm, in my head, because I've heard some investors actually say that manage their own properties, they already have something like that set up. So they give codes and it's, it's almost like the, what's that, super key? It's almost set up like that. So the numbers are never the same. So I see that happening. I see less interaction. So it's going to be interesting. I don't really like that part, but, I have to embrace it. I definitely had much more interactions before the pandemic.
Awesome. Sounds like we're headed towards a TSA pre-check situation in real estate. Everybody sign up. And I'll just say too, I know Annette and Stephanie both know that I have said to them jokingly about the whole mentor thing, how I see them as mentors and inspiration to me in the business. So everything that they said, and just in Butter speaking briefly to this morning, there's something to be gained from all of what everyone said. So so thank you, Butter. In the age of pandemic, how have you changed your business model? How is it working to help you stay afloat, remain competitive? And how do you feel about the role of mentorship, and what should people be seeking out?
Well, let's talk about the mentorship thing. Early on, from the first year I got licensed, I joined as a volunteer at GPAR, and I'm not here to push GPAR, but I have to tell you, everybody on the call, if you can become a committee member and learn through other agents at GPAR, it will be in your best interest and it will help GPAR. So I would say that the number one way I got mentored, besides having a wonderful business partner, and terrific agents to work with is the volunteer work I did early on at GPAR. And it gave me access to, I became I represented Philly when we started the regional MLS. That was a wonderful experience. And I got a chance to be president of GPAR in '96. That was a wonderful experience. And I'm here today on this call after this many years of doing it. And I just feel blessed. So I would volunteer at GPAR. If you also belong to MCAR or any of the other boards, volunteer. And you're going to learn, I promise you. And keep taking CE. Take as many good CE courses. Get your broker's license. Do not get your broker's license. It doesn't take that long. You'll learn more. You'll have more credibility. You'll feel more self-esteem. You'll be more educated. And you put all those things together and you just get better at what you do. So it's kind of like knowing what you have to do to mentor yourself. And all the people you meet then will become mentors. It's kind of like what Stephanie said and kind of what Annette said, is that it's not just one mentor, it's many. One person isn't going to be able to help you help you on your path. They can help you so far, and then at some point you're going to need a different kind of mentor. I also wanted to share that early in my career, I read Psychology Today, which I think is an amazing magazine. And one of the things I read that I stuck with was Buckminster Fuller, who was an amazing thinker about business management, said the perfect management ratio is 8-to-1. And so I got it in my head that if my company built, if my partners and I built our company and it got bigger and bigger, we would always try to keep some kind of ratio of 8 to 12 to 1, so that partner owners and staff would work in that ratio, so that our agents and our staff and our partners never would feel terribly lost. It's hard mentoring agents to bring them up. It takes 2 to 5 years to learn the business. And it takes resilience, and it takes consistent marketing of your past clients and customers. And it's consistently having to ask for business, and you have to be comfortable with that. So that's kind of about mentoring and adapting today. I love that. One of the things I have to get better at is how to make my audio work. But so I hit these technical glitches, and I appreciate everybody's patience. But that's the whole world's going that way. Thank goodness that we have a way to connect through the internet. I just think this is amazing. In 1979, we had a fax machine with this thermal paper that was very expensive. And you couldn't store your faxes because the letters on the fax paper disappeared after a month or two. But we've come a long way, and we have a long way to come. What I'd like to say also is that as you stay in the business and you gain wisdom and intelligence about the business, I think that what will change is how important being a consultant is through the whole process. And that's what we will be to our customers, and that it will be a lifetime relationship, and it can be a lifetime relationship. But relationships take two. It's a two-sided path. And if you don't stay in touch with your clients and customers, your past clients and customers, and be a good resource to them, they won't come back to you. So I guess that's what I want to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In winding down, I'm going to come to our last couple questions. But I did just want to say that sounds like everything that you all are saying is a testament to your leadership and your leadership style. It's been working, and prayerfully it'll continue to work. I just wanted to throw out there, because recently I just completed my last class for PAR's leadership PAR. And there was a book that we had to read, and everything that these ladies are saying is like taken right out of the book. I know Stephanie is big on books. She's gifted several books over the last few years during her presidency terms. And I just wanted to plug The Servant Leader, which is an excellent book. If you guys can get your hands on it, and you'll see exactly what these ladies are speaking with, because it sounds like it comes from a place of love. They love to do it, and they have love for the business and wanting to see us all thrive and grow. And so yeah, that's a quick plug. So our last question, I'll make it a twofold again, because we do want to leave room for Q&A at the end. Thinking back, and if you had a crystal ball, thinking back, what is something that you wish you had known when you first got started, and how do you juggle work-life balance?
Oh, okay. So looking back, I would say it's hard, but it's hard work. And if you don't like hard work, then you're going to struggle, but it's well worth it. I love real estate. Like I said before, there's so many different opportunities, not just working in the business, but you personally, personal investments, there's that opportunity. So I think you have to dedicate yourself to the success of your business and know how to run a business. And that even means your P&L sheets, your expenses, your return on expenses. It's an investment in yourself. So, when you first get into the business, it was like, okay, I just have to pay for my license, pay for my E&O, and, pay for Trend. And at that time it was Trend, and that's it. But there's so many other factors that go into it that you're not quite aware of. Like, they don't teach you that in real estate school. So I would say, yeah, if I could go back, I would pay more attention to the business part of it, because the real estate and writing contracts, that's just the byproduct of what we do. That's just a process that we do. It's learning how to grow your business. And like what Annette and Butter are saying about relationships, it's going to take time to build those relationships, and being their trusted advisor, they will come back to you. And it's constantly staying in flow with your database, your clients, and staying organized. So that is one thing. And then second question was, work-life balance. Is that it? Yeah, I would say you must time block. If you respect your time, your clients will respect your time. So I learned that at a very young age. My father, he's retired now, but he was an engineer, and he used to have day timers, and the little corners, like that was like my job, and like the thrill of my life when I was little was to peel off the little corners of the day timers. So I learned at a very young age, he was very methodical, as an engineer normally is. And I learned to take time for myself, block out time for family. As you get older, you have different priorities. But if your clients respect your time, your life will be a lot easier. So I would say time block is number one for work-life balance.
Thank you,
Oh,
Annette.
there was one other thing I wanted to say. I learned from, and I can't remember her name, but I listened to her, and she said it's either a rubber ball or the glass ball. So if your priorities are, if it's a rubber ball, you can bounce it off somebody else and they can take care of it. But the glass ball, if you drop it, it shatters and you can't put it back together. So she always said, like, my family is the crystal ball. Like, you drop that, you can't put it back together. If it's a work thing, you can bounce it off. If it's a showing, you have a showing agent or something else, you can bounce it off somebody else. But a crystal ball, when it drops, it shatters and you can't put it back together. So I would say, when you think about prioritizing, your time or something that comes up in that time block, is it a crystal ball, or is it a glass ball, or is it a rubber ball? So just thought I'd throw that in there. I love that one.
Thank you, Annette. Over to you.
Yes, I think one of the questions was, what would you do? I think it was do something differently, correct? Was that part of the question?
If you looking back to when you got started, what is something you wish you had known when you first got started, and how do you balance work-life balance?
Okay. So I think I've always been such a worker. I'm like a to-do list person. And I think I might have been a little anal before the pandemic, to be honest with you. But it has taught me that I can always move things to the next day. But I would say that if I could go back, I would probably have spent more time with marketing. But because I was so ingrained in what needed to take place, I don't think I spent as much time as I could have with marketing. And I do think that that's something that anyone in the business, that they should allot a certain amount of time throughout the course of a month, week, whatever it is, in terms of your approach on that. The second thing is that, as I mentioned, I'm a to-do list person, so I'm a checklist person. And so I'm not really satisfied until things are done. I have learned to, as I mentioned, to not pressure myself. Like, I actually would get upset with myself if I did not accomplish all the things that I set out to do that day. So now, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, what have you, I started just moving things to the next day. I was stuck in a house. So it was like, what are you going to do? Beat yourself up against the wall by yourself or whatever? But yeah, that's what I would say about that. Don't pressure yourself, because you want to enjoy what you're doing. And I think the most pleasurable thing for me is to provide the service and to hear somebody say they appreciate. And I will also say, as I've told agents of mine, if you provide the service, I will promise you, you will receive the money without a doubt. You are going to receive the money when you get service. And a part of that is you're going to also get the referral business. That's when you know that you're a success. If you're not getting referral business, then you need to stop and reanalyze yourself. Because as I said, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for referrals. Everything I pretty much do is referrals. And was it another part of your question?
Anything to help with work-life balance?
Yeah, so, I do have on my calendar now that I'm going to work out at 5:00, and I am trying to stick to that. And it's been on my calendar for a while, but I'm actually doing it. But I was married before. I'm no longer married. And I would also say that those people who are planning to be married are in marriage. One of the regrets that I had was when I first opened my office, my stepson was graduating from high school. And back then I used to have people calling me up 11 o'clock at night. You're so interested in being a success. But the regret that I had was that this particular day, his graduation, he went to Upper Darby High School. And that school is so large. I mean, you might have thousands of kids graduating. And I was like, okay, his last name is Johnson, so that'll be further down. Let me take this call. And I actually missed him walking and receiving his diploma. And that has never left me. And so I think on that day, I was like, you know what? I've got to know when to shut it down. And so your family should always come first, and let them feel that way, that they come first before this business. As I mentioned, I'm no longer married. So I would say that there are many sacrifices, but be cautious about how you work. Put your family first, put your loved ones first, and balance your day so that you can remain married. I'm just saying.
Sage wisdom. Thank you, Annette. Butter?
Hey, thanks, Annette. Thank you for sharing that. That was pretty special. I appreciate that. That's really where it's at, guys. My husband and I have instituted a Sunday night family dinner, 6:30. All the kids can come for dinner. I let everybody know what we're having. We have different menus because we have different food needs, and I respect all of them. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful way for me to cook again, and for me to build my kitchen again after many years of this job, right? And of bringing everybody around a table. So I would just say, have, you know, this family Sunday night dinner. I think everybody, it's precious. Everybody shows up at 6:30, dinner is ready, and everybody's gone by 7:30, 20 of 8, because Mondays have work day. But it's a time when we have our adult children and our one grandchild with us, and not all the kids can come all the time, but most of the kids come most of the time, and we feel very blessed to have that. So institute something, you know, without pressure in your family, and they'll come. Or you go there, whatever it is that gets instituted, stick with it. When I look back on what I missed out on, I think that I would have had more balance in terms of buying investment property. I did get involved in some real estate, and I don't think it's either or. It doesn't have to be you buy some real estate or you don't buy real estate. I think as soon as you can start saving money and buy your first single family rental or duplex or triplex, do so. If you have a really good, strong, trusting partner to do it with a partner. And because some of the real estate I bought, I owned individually, and some I owned in partnerships, and none of it's ever failed. I've not had a failure, thank goodness. But I didn't buy that much real estate. So if you're going to be in this business, guys, you owe that to yourselves to save your money and buy property. That's what I would advise you to do, especially if you're early on in this business. As soon as possible, buy property. I think what Annette did was wonderful, and has held her in good stead and will the rest of her life. So that's what I would do if I were you.
Awesome. Thank you all. I'm going to say finally, thank you again for everyone attending, and also to my co-chair, Rachel Murray Richards, and our entire diversity committee. Thank you. I know most of our members are on here today, so wanted to give a big thank you to everyone. Also give you guys opportunity for any closing remarks, and then we can get right into Q&A, because Melody will keep us in time, and I did not want to go off without saying thank you and giving you guys opportunity to say some closing remarks, but also want to give folks time to get questions in. And I guess we'll run them from the chat, or Melody, if you could help me out with facilitating that part, that would be great. So closing remarks, we'll go back in order. Stephanie?
Well, I just want to thank you, Anastasia and Rochelle and Butter and Annette. It's been a pleasure spending the afternoon with you guys. I learned so much, and I respected you before, and even more now, hearing a little bit about yourselves. So thank you for sharing your expertise and some of your personal challenges and successes. So I appreciate that. And I think my closing would just be, you know, this industry is, it's constantly changing. I think you need to be open to the opportunities, adapt to the changes. Like Butter said, get involved in the committees, get involved with the association. Not only does it help the association, you're bringing your skill set and sharing it with others, and, you know, with the staff and the committees and, you know, leadership, some of your skill set, but it helps you in your business. You get to see the inner workings of the association and really how our industry works, how legislation is developed, certain opportunities or threats that affect our industry, whether external or internal. So it helps you in your confidence when you're speaking with clients or with anybody, any prospects. That knowledge, that foresight is really helpful. So I would say continue to learn, invest in yourself, you know, get involved in the association. It's always been, I mean, I loved my last 2 years as president. I met so many great people and met so many new members I never knew before. So be open to it. And again, thank you.
Thank you again, Stephanie. Annette?
Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate this afternoon. I'm very proud, as you know, of the diversity committee. I hope that that continues. And pretty much Stephanie said it all, and that is hopefully people will learn more about what the association is. They're an advocate for us to be in this industry. When the pandemic happened, if it was not for the Realtors, the Pennsylvania Realtors, our CEO, Matt Braden, in the office there, who knows, we may not even be practicing real estate. So a lot of the members may not know about what's going on behind the scenes. We have a fabulous association. I just want to thank them all, because I would say even with them, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would even be where I'm at. So, you know, take advantage of all that GPAR has to offer legislatively, understand what's going on, what your fees are actually being paid for. It's a value, it's worth the investment. So I would say that. And then in regards to the industry, there's a lot of changes that have happened. I understand that there's been a lot of complaints that have happened. And what I've seen is that people can be in the business, but not actually learning or trying to better themselves. And so even myself, we take CEs, but designations are good to have as well. And I would also say that when I have applied for different positions, and I'm referring to income situations, the fact that I'm able to put designations, that lets them know that I'm not just a licensee, but I've actually taken the time to go and specialize, whether it's senior housing, SRES, ABR, CRS. There's so many of them out there. IRM is good. I know that Steven Stiles is a part of that. We both are, and I'm a CPM. So, I would really encourage you to do that. But most importantly, remember to put the service first. The money will follow. And hopefully society will continue to see our great works and not stereotype us based upon those who are not practicing correctly. So we want to do things proper and in order. And so I thank the association. And again, I thank the diversity committee. And I wish everyone on the call, and even those who are not, the best in this career, because there are many opportunities for you to grow yourself as well as your family. Thank you.
So I guess
Words.
I'll wrap. Katie, are you still, Katie McGrath, are you still on the call?
I am.
Thanks. So I wanted Katie to speak up a second, guys. Katie went through 2 leadership programs that I think I'd like you to talk about a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Especially on this call.
Go ahead. Yeah, please, if you would. Katie's a partner at Elfant Wissahickon, our director of operations, and I've known for over 20 years and adore. Go ahead.
Oh, I love you too.
Thank you.
And also treasurer this year at GPAR. So you'll see me again. Because I took Butter's advice and I volunteered at the association. I listened to everything she says. I did 2 leadership programs back to back right when I was going to become a partner here. One was Leadership Philadelphia, which is a year-long program that I got a lot of value out of. And they do like psychological studies on you, and they figure out what your motivation is, and they get real deep and real intimate. But it also helps you create really strong, robust connections with people in positions of influence all over the city. So that was really beneficial professionally, but personally and professionally, I also did a program, and this one I want everybody to write it down. It's called Half the Sky. Women hold up half the sky. That's the Chinese proverb. And a woman named Grace Killalay, who ran HR at Comcast for many years, started this program. And she started it just it's for women. They have co-ed programs, but I'm going to recommend to you and the women on this call to do the program for women. It's about emotional resilience. It's about building a professional reputation, professional relationships, and delivering actionable results in your career. It teaches you how to give and receive bad feedback. It teaches you how to navigate, a world that isn't always as friendly to women. They also have a sort of side program for women of color who have to fight additional battles in executive presence because of, the way the world is. And I would 100% recommend it to anybody who just wants to sort of become a grown-up in their career. I think it's really what did it for me, and highly recommend. Happy to sign on as a sponsor for anybody who wants to try that program or to get more info.
Thanks, Katie. I wanted to share that because I think that makes a huge difference. If we don't grow, we regress. So I think that there's, except for maybe Sundays when you can just chill, there shouldn't be a day of the week where you're not growing, doing something, learning, giving, receiving, watching, observing, advising. Keep growing and don't be afraid of the money piece. That's the scary part in this business, is that most of us we're earning our salary. We're earning money from a commission-based model. And it's scary when it seems to dry up. So if you have consistency in your daily tasks and you ask for business and you reach out to your sphere of influence and you become a mentor to your client base and you make yourself available and you stay positive, your pipeline will not dry up. Your pipeline will not dry up. So educate yourself, enter into programs where you can grow, and don't be afraid of the money. The money will follow, as Annette said. And thank you for this opportunity today.
Thank you all again so very much. It sounds like the overarching theme for today is something that I just recently learned. A proverb is you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. So let's always be green and growing and adding on to our wisdom. So we will get right in because we have like just a little bit of time for Q&A. Let me see what is in the chat if I can. Melody, and if you want to jump in and help me out here, let me just see. I sometimes can read better without my glasses.
Absolutely. And if you guys hear a cooing baby in the back, I apologize. I'll take this question to the larger group. Do you have an exit strategy? If yes, what is it? If no, why not? Thank you.
Should I jump in first because I'm the old one?
Sure, go for it.
My plan is to retire at 80 or sooner if something happens. I'm assuming nothing's going to happen and I'll just keep working. But I'm getting older and it's time for you, and it has been for a while. And the younger partners have taken over, and our executive partners are Paul, Asher, Katie, and they run the company. And Bob, Larry, and I are advisors, and we still sell and we still participate and help decision making. But the three key players in the company are younger and very embedded, and every day are solving problems and putting out fires. It's like really hard. My plan is to retire at 80. If I can still work and participate, I'll keep selling my shares down until I'm zeroed out. But I'll zero out if I can't work anymore. So I think that 80 is probably going to be the end game for me. Janice will take over the team if she wants to do that. And I will continue to mentor and consult. I'll probably not sell because I think you reach a point in the business. I don't know how many on this call are as old as I am. And I know that 76 is you still have a lot of years in front of you. You hope at 76, but the energy is not there that is there when you're 30 and 35 and 40. And my visual in life, guys, has been that when you're a baby and you're born, you're at the center of the universe. I mean, just picture this many rings of a tree and you're right in the center. You're the baby. And as each year passes, you've learned and you grow and you're further toward the bark, right? Toward the outside. And there are more babies coming up in the center. And your job is to be strong and to help all the younger rings of the tree, that babies born, to be safe and healthy and educated and whatever it is we do, pay our taxes to help our country be stronger. So that's kind of how I see it. And I see myself now as the bark. So, and kind of, that's what I am now. So that's my exit strategy. I don't know if that makes sense or sounds crazy to you, but
That's it.
Awesome. Either Annette or Stephanie, jump right in.
A couple of years ago, I went to a financial planner, and yes, I have worked on my exit plan. I am 57. I'll be 58 this year. Don't know, I actually, the truth be told, I thought at 57 it was going to happen, but I've changed my mind about that. And of course, we're in an industry that you pretty much can be in it forever. Like Willie Seward, he's 93, a broker, and still goes to work every day. I do not see myself doing that, but I will recommend that people, whenever you feel it's the right time for you to engage with a financial planner to assist you with your exit strategy. In my case, I, have some investment properties, and so we've been selling some of those properties and putting the proceeds from that so that I will be able to retire with something, because most of us will not be getting a pension. So as Butter had mentioned, buying investment properties, that's extremely important. So when you do get ready to exit, you've got some assets. And even with that, you got to strategize everything. You're dealing with capital gains tax. So again, I recommend that a person talk to a financial planner. I kind of see myself still here to 60, meaning physically in the building. We have another office in Melrose Park. So I think that, depending on the market, that we probably at some point will sell the building and then, transition over there. And, I'm not sure if someone internally, there has been some conversations where someone might buy me out. And so I'm open to that, but I do plan to keep my license forever. And so that's it. I mean, it's been a great ride. I have no regrets in terms of being in this business. Many of the things that I've done in my life, such as travel and purchase properties and cars and all that other kind of stuff, would not have been possible, I don't think, if I had not been in this business. Because you can control your destiny for the most part. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have an exit strategy. I started a team. So my business partner and I, we both have daughters that are in the business. So eventually we would like to pass that down to them. So we are currently building the business. I'm 52, so I still have quite a few years in my brain. I still think I have the energy of an 18-year-old. So I'm constantly, my body tells me otherwise, but yeah, I'm building a business to work my way out, to exit out of the business. So like Butter, I think at some point I would like just to be an advisory role, a consultant, but eventually, running around, with the showings, and we're training them to do that. They have the energy. They are the younger generation. So they're with it, with the technology and the social, and we know a little bit about it, but we're going to let them go. That's the future of our business as a whole. But for our team, yeah. So it's a mother-daughter kind of concept that we're doing.
Awesome. Melody, next question.
Sure. One moment, let me pull that up. Okay, relax. I'm sorry, that's my son. That's not necessarily, there's a question about referrals for businesses. I guess I'll just make a question because I am curious about this myself. I forget who said it, that I think it was Annette. You said that most of your business was done by referrals. How do you suggest younger realtor women who do not have as large or expansive a network start that process? Especially in a post-COVID world where it's a lot more difficult to have in-person interactions.
Well, I would suggest social media. And I would encourage one, because just about every agent that I've spoken with, they're saying that they're getting their business from someone referring them via social media. So I think that that is probably where it's at right now. But although people are starting to come back out, and what I would suggest is everywhere you go, every person you meet, give them your electronic card or whatever kind of card you have, so that people will remember you, and engage people. Networking is extremely important. You know, you got like what, a matter of seconds to impress someone, and it's about how you make them feel. You know, so and that's a part of what diversity is about anyway. You know, just feeling really inclusive, not worrying about somebody's age, what they look like, what their weight is, or anything like that, because every single person on this planet has something to offer. It's just a matter of you discovering it.
Stephanie or Butter, did you want to get in on that one?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Steph.
Okay. I think it is about relationships. It's about, you know, if you're just starting out, I mean, I know everybody says start with your family. You know, social media is big. Like a lot of our business is referral. And if you know your why, and like Annette said, you just have that small amount of time for people to know who you are, know your why, know why you're doing it. And I would do social. One thing I do is a real estate review, and I do it for all my past clients. So even if you have that one client on the year of their anniversary, do an unsolicited CMA for them and say, hey, this is a service I do for all my clients. And even if it's just one, you just say, I do it for all my clients. And just so you have it for yourself, so you know what your real estate investment is like. And, you know, that trickles down. So it begins the referral process. You know, if you're looking for one quick little tidbit there.
I would sit open houses as soon as you're comfortable doing that. And I would try to sit back-to-back open houses Saturdays and Sundays. And that's going to eat up your weekends, or twilight open houses if you're in Center City. But I think when I started in 79, my biggest success was open houses. I would meet people and I would set up on the dining room table all kinds of literature. Now, I know you're not supposed to do that with social media today. Everything you need is at your fingertips, and people can find what they need about neighborhoods and about closing costs and about mortgages. But I still would create a library at every open house, and I would give stuff out. I'd make myself a resource. And I will tell you, people called me back all the time. I sold 55 houses my first year in real estate. And I sat open houses every Sunday. We weren't doing open houses on Saturdays at that time, but I would sit open houses every Sunday. And I developed a really strong sphere of influence very, very quickly. I want you to show 25 houses a week. If you don't have somebody to show the house to, go see it. The more you see, the more you sell. Just keep showing houses. For every 25 houses you see, you will sell one at least. And eventually it just all starts to fall into place. But you set these wheels in motion of being available, seeing the product, learning the neighborhood, farming your neighborhood, sitting open houses, writing handwritten cards to people, giving your card out, asking for business from everybody in your life, your doctor, your dentist, your grocer, your mailman, your lawyer, your whatever, mail person. So ask for business, ask for business, ask for business. And you got to do it 365 days a year. And within a couple years, your pipeline will always be full, I promise.
Awesome. Well, all of these last tidbits were awesome, and an awesome segue into us adjourning. Wanted to thank you all again for coming out. Thank you to our panelists, from myself and our entire GPAR Diversity Committee. Melody, if there are no housekeeping things, we can say good afternoon. I will thank you guys one last time for your time and attention, and look forward to seeing you on the next Zoom event, or hopefully in person. Melody, do we have anything?